Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer, brought to you by Forge College. So in our last session, we wrapped our heads around the future directions and implications of account abstraction. Well, today, we're putting on our hard hats. We are taking a full-blown blueprint tour of the exact standard that's making interoperability the holy grail for Web3 wallets. We're diving right into ERC-4337. Let's look at exactly what this standard is, and honestly, more importantly, why we even needed to build it in the first place. Now, you might be wondering, what's the big problem we were trying to solve? Historically, upgrading how smart contract wallets work basically meant performing open-heart surgery on the blockchain itself. You'd have to fundamentally alter Ethereum's core consensus rules, which is, a massive headache. But ERC-4337, it was born from this brilliantly rebellious idea: what if we could completely upgrade how accounts function without ever touching a single line of that core protocol code? To put that into perspective, let's look at the old way. In the traditional setup, which we call externally owned accounts, things are frankly a bit chaotic. It's like a messy do-it-yourself intersection where users just broadcast their transactions directly into a public mempool for miners to grab. Every wallet just kind of fends for itself. ERC-4337 completely replaces that chaos with a highly engineered, standardized roundabout. We call it the service queue. It creates a dedicated lane that completely separates what you want to do from the actual execution of that action. So let's unroll these schematics. Here is our blueprint for today. 1. Meet the service queue. 2. The cast of characters. 3. Anatomy of an operation. 4. The execution pipeline. And 5. Why this changes everything. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, Meet the service queue. The whole philosophy here boils down to one phrase: separating intent from execution. I want you to think of ERC-4337 like a really highly efficient restaurant. In the old system, you, the diner, literally had to walk directly into the kitchen, grab a pan, and cook the meal yourself while dodging a bunch of other people trying to do the exact same thing. Absolute madness, right? But in ERC-4337, you just write down your order, that's your intent, you hand it to a waiter, and you stay comfortably off-chain in the dining room while all the heavy lifting, the execution, happens on-chain in the kitchen. This foundational genius is exactly what allows us to build those incredible, super user-friendly experiences on top of the blockchain. Moving right along to Section 2, the cast of characters. First up, we have the user operation. Now, I know user operation sounds like some incredibly boring corporate initiative, but trust me, it's actually the secret sauce to way better Web3 experience. It is simply a structured data object. Going back to our restaurant, it's the written order you give to the waiter. It contains exactly what you want to do, but, and this is key, it is not a standard Ethereum transaction. It exists entirely in its own special queue. Next up, we have the bundler. So if the user operation is your food order, the bundler is your diligent waiter. As an off-chain middleman, the bundler basically walks around the dining room, collects multiple user operations from a bunch of different tables, bundles them all together, and carries them into the kitchen in one single trip. This massively optimizes gas efficiency and just clears up so much network traffic. Then, waiting in the kitchen, we have the EntryPoint. This is a canonical, heavily audited, on-chain smart contract. You can absolutely think of the EntryPoint as the master chef. When the bundler hands over that massive stack of orders, the EntryPoint meticulously reviews them, validates all the signatures, makes sure the math is perfectly right, and then executes the operations exactly as requested. And finally, we have my personal favorite, the paymaster. This is an optional on-chain contract. Think of the paymaster as that one incredibly wealthy friend who generously picks up the dinner tab, but, only under very specific conditions. A paymaster can be programmed to sponsor your gas fees if you hold a specific NFT, or maybe if you use a specific app, meaning you, the user, can actually transact without ever needing to hold the native network token. How cool is that? Now, the absolutely crucial point across all these roles is the strict boundary between off-chain and on-chain. As you'll see, the wallet, the user operation, and the bundler sit strictly off-chain. They handle the intent and the aggregation. But the EntryPoint, along with that optional paymaster, sits securely on-chain, handling the actual execution. Honestly, separating these responsibilities is just pure architectural genius. Okay, let's dive into Section 3, Anatomy of an Operation. So, what's actually inside this thing? A user operation gives an incredible amount of control back to the wallet. It contains the target address, the actual call data, which just means the specific instructions of what you want to do, strict gas limits, and a nonce. A nonce is just a unique number to prevent hackers from repeating or replaying your transaction.
Because you construct all of this off-chain, you get to dictate the exact terms and your gas budget entirely on your end.
Next up, Section 4, the execution pipeline. Let's walk through the exact journey step by step. First, your wallet drafts the operation. Next, it performs local off-chain validation just to check its own rules. Then, our bundler middleman scoops it up along with a bunch of others. Step 4 is where the magic really happens. The EntryPoint contract validates and runs the transaction right on the blockchain. And finally, settlement occurs, where gas is paid and any refunds are issued. Because your operations sit off-chain all the way until Step 4, the traditional rules for network latency and front-running change entirely. A really powerful feature here is something called atomicity. When the bundler submits a batch of orders, the master chef processes them in sequence. And here's the kicker. If one operation in the bundle fails, the entry point can cleanly reject that specific failure while totally preserving the rest of the batch. This gives developers incredibly safe, highly structured execution semantics that were quite literally impossible before this standard. Finally, Section 5. Why this changes everything. So what does this all mean? Here are the grand takeaways. First, user intent successfully moves off-chain, completely revolutionizing how we handle gas and speed. Second, we actually achieve account abstraction without having to ask the entire Ethereum network to undergo some messy hard fork. And third, because of these standardized interfaces, developers can now mix and match wallets, bundlers, and paymasters seamlessly. It is a real game changer for composable interoperability. Well, now that you understand the high-level architecture and that whole restaurant queue mental model, you are perfectly positioned to dive into the real code-level mechanics. So next up in our track, it's time to explore these components and roles in depth. We're going to be exploring the entry point, the bundler interfaces, and even custom validation hooks. So the big question is, are you ready to look under the hood of the entry point contract? To keep building your expertise and really dive into the exact smart contract mechanics, you've got to head over to forge.college. You will find an entire library of structured Web3 resources waiting for you there. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on this Forge College Explainer, and as always, keep building.